Hey folks, it's Mira Dessy, the ingredient guru, and I am so excited. I am here today talking with Louise Gittleman. Now, if you don't know her, you really should, but Louise Gittleman is a nutritionist and an acknowledged expert in the field of health and wellness. She has written a broad number of books and helped so many people make huge changes in reclaiming their health and truly understanding a lot of things about how their body works. And I'm here today to talk to her about her new book, which I'm so excited about. It's called Radical Metabolism, a powerful new plan to blast fat and reignite your energy in just 21 days. This is an amazing book. I loved reading it, and I'm so excited to be able to talk to her about it. And Louise, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mira, you ingredient guru, you.
So, I want to start with the very first question. What is radical metabolism?
Radical Metabolism is an extremely serious program about getting down to the root cause of why so many people can't lose weight after a certain age or are notoriously slow losers to begin with and may have an issue with their thyroid or, believe it or not, their gallbladder. Because, Mira, I identify an unholy alliance between the thyroid and the gallbladder or the lack thereof in terms of weight loss in this day and time.
Well, and I love the focus that you put on the gallbladder. I was fortunate enough to attend your lecture on that very topic, and I was blown away because, as we've discussed before, the gallbladder is kind of like the lost stepchild of the organ family. So tell me, why is the gallbladder so important?
The gallbladder is important because it's the storage tank for bile, and bile is a magical ingredient which not only breaks down fat, but is the detox method of the liver. So if you want a real binder of all those toxins, whether it's hormones, whether it's heavy metals, whether it's chemicals, or whether it's parasites or virus or bacteria, you look to the bile. And what people don't recognize is that when you don't have properly timed bile, you lose the ability to transport those all-important immune-boosting vitamins, the oil-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin D, that everybody's talking about, vitamin E and K. So it's extremely important for the immune system. It's important for detoxification, but more importantly, it's just as important for weight loss. So that's one of the digestive glitches, so to speak, that I highlight in Radical Metabolism, and why I feel it's a book that's so important for women and men of all ages and stages, because with all the toxins in the environment, you need more bile. You can't detoxify without bile, and without a gallbladder, you've got a double whammy unless you know how to supplement properly, which is what we go through in the book.
Sure, and I saw that, and one of the things that occurred to me that I'd love it if we can talk about this for a moment, especially for those who don't have a gallbladder, but even for those whose gallbladder is struggling. There's this whole focus right now on the paleo, primal, keto diets and their fat heavy, protocols that it sounds like what you're saying is that may not actually be the answer.
Well, it's partially the answer, because what we know is our bodies are meant to really work on fat. In other words, they run on fat. The fuel of perfection is fat for the body, for the brain. It's not sugar. It's the perfect fuel, so to speak. But on the other hand, if you're not digesting the fats and they're not the fats that your body needs for the mitochondria, then you're in a worse position than when you started. So with people that are doing those programs, I've got it partially right, but not totally. So what I hope to do in Radical Metabolism is to kind of mend the error of the paleo and keto ways and have people understand that once they get a different type of fat into their systems, with a forbidden fat, you should never stop eating. They'll fuel their mitochondria, they'll lose weight, and they'll also be very helpful for skin conditions, because the omega-6s is what I bring to the forefront in this book. It's not about coconut oil and MCT oil anymore.
Well, and it's so interesting you should say that, because one of the things that I really found fascinating when I was reading the book was your discussion about the different kinds of fats, about looking at how everybody focuses on omega-3s, but omega-6s are being villainized So can you talk about your thoughts on that?
I know, and I was one of them that villainized the omega-6s, so I'm repenting right here and now. I have to tell you that we've made a lot of mistakes when it comes to the fats of our lives. So the fats of life include the importance of omega-6s because they're actually part of the structural elements of the membrane. And the cell membrane is where elements of the, it's where detox occurs, and it's where nutrients come in, nutrients come out. So it's very important. Some feedback. Hold on. Did you hear what I heard?
No.
We're having a little technical difficulty. Hold on one sec.
Okay, sure.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, I'm not echoing. I was echoing a little bit. Can you adjust that on the tape?
Yeah, we'll just snip that part out. So just pick up where you right back before you.
Okay, so the importance of the omega-6s are they are the actual fuel that feeds the mitochondria. And you and I both know in this day and age, we've got a lot of mitochondrial disease, which has since been coming out of the woodwork since the past 10, 15 years. You never heard of it previous to that. And I think it's because we've overdone saturated fats, the good omega-3s, but we have villainized omega-6s, which your body needs in the ratio of 4-to-1 in favor of omega-3s. So you need more omega-6s than omega-3s. You need them for the cell membrane as the fuel, too, for the mitochondria, those cellular engines that are in every single cell of your body. So the reality is that when I wrote Radical Metabolism, I decided to make omega-6s a centerpiece of the program, which is why you're seeing 3 different types of omega-6s as part of my program. You're seeing hemp seed oil, you're seeing pine nut oil, you're seeing safflower oil. And I'm bringing them back for their linoleic acid and their power in fueling your ability to detoxify properly and also to lose weight and to feed the brown fat, which is considered to be the new obesity cure. So if you read the book thoroughly, you're going to see that omega-6s are here to stay. And when people start complimenting you on your skin, your hair, your nails, you know you're in the right spot.
Well, there you go. And so for those who are watching who don't necessarily know, can you just give us a quick primer on what's in omega-3 and what's in omega-6?
They're the essential fatty acids. You know, we've been overrun with the information these days about how important coconut oil is. And I think coconut oil has a place in the diet, but not at the expense of the essential fatty acids that your body actually needs. The omega-6s are an essential fatty acid like the omega-3s that your body cannot make from internal processes. You have to get it with foods. So the problem is that the most common sources of the omega-6s are the most commercially toxic. Your corn oil, for example, your soybean oil, your canola oil. But when you get the raw, unaltered omega-6s, you're feeding the mitochondria, you're feeding the cell membrane, and you're feeding your ability to lose weight. So we've got to bring them back, clarify that, and everybody that says they're bad has no concept of the good omega-6s, P.S. And that's where your GLA comes into play as well, which is known to be very helpful in burning brown fat so that you don't have to do anything but just take the proper oils so that your body has the internal mechanisms for you to burn fat and make yourself into a radical metabolism fat burning machine. Omega-6s are where it's at. I'm very passionate about it because I find people with eczema, with psoriasis, all kinds of skin issues that we never saw that will clear up with both topical and internal omega-6s.
Nice. And that's great, you know, and I think for a lot of people, sometimes just knowing what direction to go in is so important because there's so much information out there. It gets very overwhelming and very confusing. And so to have something that's very clearly laid out for them is really great. I'd like to go back for just a second to something you said, because, you know, obviously as the ingredient guru, my big passion is talking to people about the ingredients that are in our food and all the things that we include that are toxic in our diet. And you mentioned 3 of my least favorite ingredients, which are corn, canola, and soy, because they're highly GMO, highly processed, and just contribute nothing nutritionally to what our body needs. But, you know, there's actually a little bit more to it than that, because in the book you were talking about the role that toxins play in the body's ability to actually activate your metabolism and be able to lose weight. Can you talk about that for just a moment?
Well, if you have a toxic metabolism that is fueled by these bad omega-6s, the corn oil you talk about, the canola, the soybean oil, then you're in trouble. So the body is not able to metabolize properly or burn fat as calories. However, if you can clarify that, you can clear out those pathways, and you do that with the right kind of bile or a bile supplement or bitters, which helps your body make better bile, then you've got the answer, which leads me to another part of the program, which is the importance of bitters and bringing back the forgotten flavor that most of us don't even recognize anymore because it's not part of the American palate.
And that's so true. I think about how much our diet has changed over the past couple of generations. And when you go back in the literature, you see that it used to be part of a meal that you had bitters before you ate, and we don't do that anymore. And then we also, some people are beginning to include more of them, but there's still not a lot of those bitter flavors in the diet, not a lot of those dark leafy greens or dandelion. Well, that's a dark leafy green too, but dandelion and nettles and all these things that add that bitterness that's actually so helpful for us.
And there are even fruits and vegetables that I talk about in the book. We teach you how to make a metabolixer that has the real kind of bitters. So bitters are better for your HCl, for your digestive acids. It will help you make bile if you don't want to take an ox bile supplement because you're a vegan or a vegetarian. So there are many different ways to skin the omega-6 cat, so to speak. In order to digest your fats, you need to break them down properly. And that's where the paleo program and the keto program, it's where they lose out because they have no concern about that. They're just getting you on these heavier fats, which your body has more difficulty in digesting, assimilating, and breaking down.
Well, and so can we go back and talk for a second about that? Because, I have some clients, for example, who do not have a gallbladder. And the overwhelming majority of them are female, and they tend to be in that age range where their metabolism is starting to slow down anyway biologically, and so it's like they've got several strikes against them.
I know.
And so how one of the things that we look at, I guess, is how can we best support them without a gallbladder, without having to really, because so many of them unfortunately go on these starvation diets or do these things that are just further wrecking them.
I know. The program includes, and it's all in the 21-day program. It's also in the 4-day detox. I have a 4-day cleanse that's part of the entire program. So it's 4 days of the detox. It's 21 days, 25 days of menu plans that include bitters for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks, the metabolixirs, as well as a listing of particular supplements that are very helpful for people that don't have a gallbladder. And from my understanding of working with all of our test groups, our beta groups that test drove the program, those that took the particular supplements were able to finally lose weight, get their energy back, and also become more regular. Because one issue that's really overlooked is the importance of bile in lubricating the intestinal tract and allowing you to become regular. It's better than fiber when it comes to having you go to the bathroom on a timely basis.
Well, and see, that right there is valuable information because
we love that. I've always told people they have to make number 2 their number 1 priority.
Oh, I love that. That's so funny. So let's talk about the menuing for a minute. I looked at your recipes and they look very delicious. One of the things that happens, I think, when people start a new dietary protocol, they frequently get overwhelmed because they're thinking they have to rip everything apart. And really, that's not the case with this. Like you've really made it very clear and very simple. But we all know the most important meal is breakfast. And so on a radical metabolism plan, what is the best breakfast?
So for breakfast, we have a blaster. It's an energy blaster that I call my citrus blaster because it also gives you adequate vitamin C by having you dry the peels of organic citrus. this really cool thing that we found that will give you the bioflavonoids, the vitamin C you need to make glutathione, the major detoxifier in the body. And you've got the right kind of coffee that's part of the drink. You have a little bit of whey protein powder, but you can use any protein powder, a little coconut milk, and voila, you've got our program. So that has been very important in getting the system really purged in the beginning of the day, because the right kind of coffee, for those of us that can tolerate the coffee, acts as a bitter. It's also high in niacin that allows your system to detoxify as the first meal of the day. And if you're not a coffee drinker, no worries. You can substitute either dandelion root or a special tea that we have now found to be a radical metabolizing nutrient, rich in nutrients, that is one of the special drinks that is part of the program.
Well, and that sounds really great. I'd love it though if you'd talk for just a second about, you know, this special coffee, because so many people are going to think, well, I'll just use my coffee. I like my coffee. Why does coffee make a difference?
You know, I have to tell you something. This was what was most radical for me, because I have never been a coffee drinker before. But there's so much new research out there about the importance of the right kind of coffee. It needs to be organic, number one. It needs to be mold-free, number two, because who knew? Maybe you knew as the ingredient guru, but most of us didn't know that coffee is one of the moldiest foods that we're partaking in on a daily basis. So I did my searching and I found a company, it's called the Purity Coffee Company, that has the highest antioxidant coffee on the planet, number one, has done all of its research, is mold-free, high in chlorogenic acid, that's the substance that allows you to increase fat burning by 50%, and is totally organic. So when people pre-order or order our book, they're going to get a 30% off coupon for this particular coffee, and people will become major customers of this particular brand because it tastes so much better than anything else on the market.
Well, that's amazing.
And
So
I'm not a coffee drinker, so for me to say that is major. The other thing is they're coming out with a decaf coffee, which will be totally as high in antioxidants. It'll be the best thing on the market, and that's coming out very, very shortly. So I'm very happy to have partnered with them. I'm actually proud to partner with them, to have seen the research. And Mira, it's incredible. The right kind of coffee can do wonders for type 2 diabetes, is healthy for the liver, and is also good for the heart. So we might as well take our favorite beverage and really make it
boost it, yeah.
Boost it up and do it a cut above is what I wanted to say. So it's kind of like the gourmet coffee, tastes good and is good for you. 1 to 3 cups a day is what the research says, but my program includes it at least in the morning in that citrus blaster.
That sounds great. Well, this has been really informative, really fascinating. I loved reading my copy. Thank you so much for getting that into my hands. It was just amazing. And before we close, I'd love it if you could share where people could get in touch with you, where they could find out more information.
radicalmetabolism.com. So if your people go to radicalmetabolism.com, we'll give them 3 free gifts in addition to pre-ordering the book and that 30% off coupon to Purity Coffee. So that is what our offer is. They can find me at radicalmetabolism.com.
And is there a way that they can connect with you on social media as well? Are there places they can find you?
Absolutely. Radical Metabolism. There's a Facebook group, the Radical Metabolism Revolution. Ask to join, and we're going to be very happy to have you included in our group. So just happy to have you. We're there with open arms. Yeah, Radical Metabolism Revolution is a wonderful group for your people.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really amazing. I have loved chatting with you. And folks, if you are just tuning in, you're going to have to rewind back to the beginning, because this has been an amazing talk about radical metabolism, how to lose weight and blast fat in just 21 days. And I would love it if you would click like and subscribe down below, because we are going to have more great things coming your way. And we'll also share links and information in the notes below. So Ann-Louise, thank you so much for joining us. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you on and to be able to speak with you.
And the pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye, folks.